American House. We are few in number, but I think we have an interesting guest today to interview, Mr. Jim Avery. And I had hoped to include other members of his family, Joanna Swain and Colleen Smith, our sisters, but they both had doctor appointments or other things they couldn't make it. So Jim, you're going to be the voice of the whole family too. The reason we're interviewing Jim Avery is because when I started doing these interviews and I would talk to people about them, the reason we're doing the interviews is because Mark Smith, who is our county historian, said, before you start giving people tours through the American House, you need to have some stories about Burlington, about who and what made Burlington what it is today. And so this is how we're getting those stories. We're interviewing some of our older residents, and some of them aren't so old either. We had some interesting stories from the Neptune girls last month, and which, by the way, Jim Stoops is here from Cutler, and he taped that and has DVDs available for anybody who would like to see our interview with the Neptune girls and other interviews in months prior to that. So today we're interviewing Jim Avery because when people heard about these interviews, they said, you need to talk to Jim Avery. He knows everybody and everything about Burlington. So you've got a reputation to live up to or live down, Jim. I don't know which it is. One of the things that I do know about Jim is that he walks a lot. And we're going to learn more about where and why he walks and what he learns when he does. But I want to go back and learn a little bit more about you early on. So you live in Burlington now, don't you?
Yes.
Lloyd Avenue. And but you didn't always live in Burlington.
That's right.
So where and when did you come to Burlington? And from where?
I come to Burlington in 1989 from out here on the Cutler Road. It's Cutler Road and 300. I built a new house there in 1961.
On Cutler Road and 300 West then? No, that'd be 300 East it's called, yeah. Cutler and 300, okay. So, and you came here from where?
From there.
Now, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in north of Middle Fork.
North of Middle Fork.
Where Matthews Pole Buildings is.
Where Matthews Pole Building is. All right, wow, okay. Then you were in the territory where Chief Peter Cornstalk ventured, weren't you?
I've heard stories about him, but that's all.
Yes. You have a story in your family about him, I understand. Your grandma.
Grandma Avery.
Tell us about what you remember about that.
Other than every time he'd come by, she'd give him something. Whether it be a chicken or she'd give him something. And other than that, that's about all I know about it.
So if she knew he was in the Middle Fork area, he got something from her, from your grandmother.
Yeah.
And you all lived on a farm there in Middle Fork?
Yep.
That was farmland before Matthews put the pole building in there, huh?
Yep.
All right. Then you went to school in Middle Fork.
Yes, I did. Middle Fork,
How long?
8th grade.
Till 8th grade.
Yeah, and then they took us to Forest.
And then you went where?
Forest.
Forest. So did the Middle Fork School close?
Yes.
Or now it's kind of destroyed. It's still standing,
Yes.
but in poor condition. Did they close it because of its condition, or did they close it because other schools were moving to Forest? Do you know why they closed the Middle Fork School?
It got bad shape.
Okay, the building was bad. Okay, and it's still kind of standing, but in very bad shape. And I heard somebody say that they think the reason they haven't done anything with it is because it has asbestos in it. So it's dangerous to go in there and do anything about it. So are they just waiting for the weather to tear it down then, or?
I have no idea.
Don't know. Okay. So you went to Middle Fork School through the 8th grade and then went to Forest. You graduated from there?
No, I graduated from Burlington. I actually came to Burlington in the middle of my sophomore year.
Okay, in your sophomore year. Okay. You came to Burlington. So Burlington still had its high school and grade school here. Okay. And that would have been what year? I didn't get, what year were you born? What year were you born?
37.
37. Okay, 1937. What day and month, in case we want to send you a card?
July 26th,
Well, you just had a birthday, didn't you?
84.
July 26th, you were 84. Well, happy birthday 3 days ago.
Thank you.
Doing all right for 84, Jim. And so you were a sophomore when you came to Burlington. So you graduated from Burlington High School.
Yes.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I went to work
Okay.
at Stellite. I got laid off. Then I went to work for the Cal County Highway. Well, I need to back up. I started out farming.
You did?
Yeah. And I went to Stellite and I got laid off. And I went to the Carroll County Highway. And I went back to Stellite for 43 and a half years.
My goodness sakes. So total 43
Then
and a half years.
I drove a dump truck for 20 years. After that,
After that,
yes.
wow, then 20 years dump truck for 20 years. Okay, now where'd you, what'd you haul in the dump truck?
Gravel, stone, dirt. I worked out of Aggregate Engineers, Logansport.
Aggregate engineers out of Logansport, so you hauled for them.
Yes.
To, how far?
We run about a 50-mile radius. of
50-mile radius out of Logansport, wow, okay. As a kid in high school, you grew up on a farm, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah, so in high school, did you work at other jobs or just on the farm?
just on the farm.
Just on the farm. Now, you were telling me earlier about a bad spider bite you got, so
I don't want to talk about it.
don't want to talk about that. So you've had all kinds of experiences, farm work and, okay, now, has any of that carried over into your retirement years? Do you like gardening, or do you have chickens, or
No.
any animals?
No,
Left all that on the farm, huh? Okay. But what Jim is known for is he's a wanderer. Man, does he walk. Tell us about your walks. How did all that get started, and where do you walk now? And
well, when I quit driving a truck, I was going to have to do something. I couldn't sit around the house 24 hours a day, so I started walking. I walk about 5 miles a day.
5 miles a day. Now, do you go out around the boundaries of Burlington? I've seen you downtown, so I know you walk through town. Do you
Yeah.
have a certain route you take?
No. But I walk up, down through the cemetery and down the Cup Road and down through the park and up 22 to the bridge and back. I walk over.
All over, okay. But it's not the same path twice, 2 days in a row?
No, normally not.
Okay. Okay, now, tell me, are there some interesting stories about what you have watched grow in Burlington? The different businesses and houses and so on. How long have you been doing these walks? Since you retired?
Yeah.
That would have been what year?
Twenty.
20 years ago. So about 2000, about
That's
a
when
year.
I quit trucking and started walking.
Okay, so you kind of retired in 2000.
Yeah.
And that's when you started walking then. Okay. That's 21 years ago. So what have you noticed changing in Burlington so far as businesses, houses, people?
Well, we've lost a lot of people and several houses. Famous people in Burlington, Kate Smoker's house is gone.
Okay, what do you remember about, yes, her house is gone. What do you remember about Kate?
She was something special.
Let's see, when did we lose Kate? How long has she been gone?
Oh, I can't tell you.
Let's see.
Been several years, I can't tell you.
Okay. But now, she lived out there on that farm on Cutler Road. Did you walk out that far?
No.
Okay.
She always lived in town for
She was in town when you were walking. Okay.
Well, before that.
Yes.
As far as I know, she always lived in town.
Oh, that's right. She just farmed out there,
Yeah.
didn't she? Yes, owned the farm and worked out there and stopped her car in the middle of the road.
Oh, yeah.
That's everybody's favorite story about Kate Smoker. If she had to get out and look at something on the farm, she'd just stop her car in the middle of the road and get out, leave the door open and take care of business and finally get back to the car. But her house was on the northwest corner of the 2229 intersection, which was one of the locations where we had the library for a while. We'll be covering that next month, about the library. But she let us put the books in her house there for a while. And that's where she lived when she died. And of course the house got sold and we had to get the books out of there, and that's when it got moved over to across the street. So, do you have any favorite stories about Kate?
Well, we was baling
That
hay.
you can tell.
We was baling hay one time for her.
You were baling hay for her down on the Ritchie farm?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
okay.
barn,
On Cutler.
barn house that tore down.
Oh, okay.
And she had Walt White and another guy doing some wiring in her barn.
Okay.
Well, I come up with a load of hay, and there was some cows in there, and Walt and them had run a wire outside the barn, and it was hot.
Okay.
And that cow walked up there and hooked that wire and
Oh, my.
killed it dead on there.
Oh my.
And about that time, Kate drove in. Oh boy. I can't repeat what she said. I never will forget that.
Did she press charges against anybody?
Oh, I don't think so.
But she would have been upset losing that cow, wouldn't
Oh,
she?
yeah.
Yeah, right. She was somebody else, wasn't she?
She was famous for her attire.
Yeah.
For her, how she dressed.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I understand when she taught college down in Indianapolis.
She was a well-educated
And
woman.
and people said she was dressed to the nines every day when she went to work. So she knew how to dress, fashionably. But when she lived in Burlington, she was a farm girl.
She taught down Plainfield for a long time too, the boys' school.
And a boys' school, really.
In Indianapolis.
Okay. Now, in your walk around town, do you stop and visit with people much? Do you,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so do you have some favorite people or stories from some of our residents that you encounter when you walk?
No, not particularly, just everyday normal.
Well, you don't have to name them. But you've seen a change. What kind of changes have you seen?
Well, I've seen a lot of business come, and a lot of people business go.
Yes. Did you stop in and visit them very much? The
No.
business?
So,
Do you go in and chat at Barnard's or?
no, not Barnard.
Uh-huh.
I got to stop at the Miramar.
At the Miramar, okay. There's always a gang hanging out there, wasn't
Yeah, oh,
there?
yeah,
Yes. I reckon we'll get back to that after the COVID clears up.
I don't know. I'll
So-
probably tell you something that nobody said is down here at the mill, Pond's Mill.
Yes.
I remember when they ground flour and Dad raised white corn
White corn
for their cornmeal.
for the cornmeal.
They had a crib there in the mill, and it was lined with hardware cloth to keep the mice out.
Well, I could see why that would be, yes.
But there's not too many people remember that. Do you, Ken?
The white corn,
When they ground cornmeal and flour there?
yes, they did, and they sold them. When I interviewed Myron Brubaker, well, he had typed up a lengthy report of what they did at Hon Mill, and they made several different kinds of cornmeal and flour, and packaged them in many different kind of bags. They did 10-pound bags, 5-pound bags, and 25-pound bags. And I remember one thing he said was, and I don't remember which corn it was, but he said you got 25 pounds of flour out of 25 pounds of corn. That was written in. I'll find that and read it to you later. But that was quite a business, wasn't it? Now, that was closed by the time you started doing your walks, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Have you seen different residents at the Spanish house where the Hans that they built?
Yeah, there's been several people in now there. This fellow that has it now is doing a lot of work to it.
Are they?
They're pouring cement up there now.
To do what?
I didn't walk up there to see. I think they're probably building a patio the way it looks.
Okay. The pool, they still have the pool, do they?
I'm not gonna answer that, I don't
Yeah,
know.
okay. Okay. Yeah, that's quite a place. Am I hearing a siren?
Ambulance.
It's the ambulance. Well, we know who lives down the south end of town. It could be Barb or Evelyn or could be several people. So you've seen businesses come and go. And any particular business that you used to, well, you mentioned Maramart. What are some of the others that we've lost?
Oh, the dinner bell.
The Dinner Bell, yes. That was a gathering place, wasn't it? Yeah. Now, how long does it take you to walk the 5 miles?
No. It'd probably take me, time I stop and talk and fool around, about an hour of the morning and an hour of, it's about 2.5 in the morning, 2.5 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay,
I
you
don't
do
walk
it in
all
2
day.
hitches.
Yeah, I don't.
2.5 in the morning, 2.5 in the afternoon. Now, so do you do the same circuit twice a day?
No,
Or part of it morning and part of it afternoon?
yeah.
Okay. And you say you don't take the same route every day? Okay. All right. Now, we skipped an era of your life, and that has to do with your wife and your family. So tell us about that. Where did you meet Algie? In school, or
Yeah, I was in school, I was trying to think.
you both went where?
She went to Cutler and I went to Burlington.
Oh, she went to Cutler, and you went to Burlington. Okay.
She was a Barnard, Eugene Barnard's daughter.
Oh, okay.
My dad was Tom and my mother was Lida Avery.
And so she went to Cutler.
We got married in 19 57.
And you have how many children?
Have one daughter,
One daughter. What's her name?
Melinda.
Melinda. Melinda. Melinda. And where is Melinda?
She is west of, let's see, I'm trying to think the name of the town.
In Indiana?
South, yeah, she's southwest of Lafayette.
Southwest of Lafayette.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have grandchildren?
Got two grand.
Two grands.
daughters.
Daughters, okay.
Jen and Shelby.
And any great grands yet?
Oh yeah,
How many of those you got?
two.
And two great grands. Okay.
Avery and West.
What were their names again?
Mallory and West.
Mallory and West. And what are the granddaughters' names?
Shelby and Jenna.
Jenna. Shelby and Jenna. So, you finally got a boy and a great-grandchild.
That's right.
Okay. So your family, as far back as you can remember, where did your family come from before Middle Fork area? Did they come from out of state somewhere?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Okay. And LG's family, they're just mostly from around here.
Big town of Lex.
Lex. Oh yes. Okay. Yeah, that's had one business. I don't know if it still has one or not.
No.
My daughter and her husband lived in Lex for about a year after they married. Okay. How about church affiliations?
Well, I belong to the Methodist, but don't go very often anymore.
And community activities
Oh my. I spend a lot of time in the park.
at the park. Okay. And community club activities.
No, building it, help build it.
Oh, you helped build the park.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. When was that? What years would that have been?
Oh, it was in the late 60s.
Late 60s. Who else was involved with that at the time?
Oh, there was Dick Schuler and
Oh, yes,
Dick
Dick.
Eller and
Dick Schuler and Dick Eller. Mhm.
community.
And who?
A lot of people from the community.
It took a whole village, didn't it? Well, we're grateful for that because we have a wonderful park. We're very blessed to have that. And to get the, let's see, did they build the community building first? The town did that, and then the Eli Lilly building came later? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. How did they manage to get Eli Lilly to give them the grant for that? Remember?
They applied for grants, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. We had people who knew how to write asking for grants, evidently. Yes. How about other civil organizations? I know LG is active in the Classics Home Ec Club. That's the Home Ec Club I belong to.
Yeah, I coached girls softball for a number of years.
You coached girls softball.
Yes, I did.
Well. Well, you had two girls to keep busy, didn't you?
Yeah.
How many years did you do that?
I'm going to say 14.
Oh my goodness sakes. Was that before or after you got the park going?
4.
Before the park. Is that what made you realize you needed a park?
Yeah.
Where did
yeah.
they play ball then?
Was played out there at the old
At the Legion Field?
Old Legion Field.
Yes, yeah. You were here during the sesquicentennial in '78. Do you have any particular memories of that?
The only memory I had was I was on the crew that took care of that balloon that went way up in the
Oh,
air.
the hot air balloon, yes.
That was a job, you know.
Well, I have you to thank for that. I remember when we tried to get that going, we were even hopeful that maybe we could give people rides on the hot air balloon. And Alan Brubaker was our lawyer in the planning of all that. And he said, you'd have to get an insurance policy from Lloyd's of London to put somebody up in one of those balloons. He said, forget it. So we gave up thinking about letting people ride up in the balloon. But we did have the tethered balloon.
No, they give rides when I went there, Sesquicentennial.
I didn't think they actually let the balloon
Yeah,
go.
oh, yeah.
No, it was tethered.
Let's see, we went, they landed out of Stouts one time. And there was three places I can remember where all of them were. But you had to deflate that thing, carry the basket out,
Right.
hold the balloon up, carry it out.
Yeah.
Then you had to, when you got back, you had to put it all back together. And they did
That would have been a lot of work. Yeah.
That was a lot of work.
Yes, it was. But people really enjoyed that experience of getting up that high, even in a hot air balloon. Yeah. So, well, thank you for doing that. And you gave us a story about Peter Cornstalk. Any other interesting stories you remember hearing as a kid about anybody in the area?
Oh, Chick Smoker, but you probably heard about
Chick
about
Smoker. Oh yes, that was one of my questions I hadn't asked. What do you remember about Chick Smoker and this house, the American house where he lived?
Boy, Chick was a one of a kind.
All right.
He never, as far as I know, he never had a real job. He done a little work for Barber's Poultry, and other than that, I don't know anything else that he really did. Bought a little fur in the wintertime.
He sold a lot of fur. Did he go hunting a
Bought and
lot?
sold fur.
Oh, he bought and sold fur. Did he hunt himself? Did he hunt animals?
No,
He was not a hunter. He just bought and sold from other people.
he did it down here. Well, it used to be Barber's Poultry. It's gone now. That's where he done his fur business.
And where was that? Barber's Poultry? That was a business?
Yeah, Ed Ryan.
Oh, on Ed Ryan's property?
What Ed
Down
Ryan-
over the hill?
No, it's right down here.
Down here.
Yeah.
On the other side of Dollar General?
No, be this side. I think.
Well, Ed Ryan, where he built the,
Yeah,
where they
it'd
built
be-
the new
it's
houses
right
here. Here? Is that where it was?
South.
South of this house. I can't remember what was there before they built all those new houses.
Ryan's nursery was in there.
What did
Ed Ryan's nursery was in there.
Yeah, his nursery. Okay. Anything else?
I think that probably covered.
Yeah. Him and his daughters. Yeah, Ed Ryan and daughters. Yes, that's where their nursery business was. And